Like I know that, but I don't have any like ringing or tinnitus or anything. Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I am your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I am your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I am your Cobra intern with lifelike beard and hair, codename Legion Cub.
And before we get any further, Craig Dukas, I know you're watching right now. We are using your Joe and Tell at the end of the show. It's going to be a segment at the end of the show. So what I need you to do is get on Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and I need your address so I can send you a little Audible Interlude care package as a thank you for coming up with the name of that segment, because Joe and Tell, it's fantastic. We got to use it. Matthew Comstock, yo, what's up, man? Thanks for coming back out. We got a lot to talk about tonight. And first, we're going to talk about how dark it is in here. I'm trying a new setup because this light is always so bad when I'm watching the video back, like trying to get clips and stuff. So I turn that out, and I've got this ring light up here that I have to wear my hat. So but I think it's okay, right? It looks
if that's a ring light, the hat is definitely working because you don't have the weird glowy center eyes that drive me crazy.
Well, and I couldn't. I have to have, because if that ring light was in my face, I would.
Like, we're not doing a Thundercats podcast here. This is G.I. Joe. Let's stay on theme.
So first thing I want to say is Noel and I are coordinated tonight, but you, the viewers, can also coordinate with us by going to TeePublic. I'm going to put it up in the stories, so it'll be there later on tonight. And get yourself, there are 2 different Audible Interlude t-shirts you can get to help support the show. We appreciate that. But I mean, more than that, we just want to see people wearing the shirt, whether it's at Joe Fest or whatever. And big announcement from Joe Fest, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Needless Things YouTube channel, you're on it right now. Lots of toy reviews all the time. Lots of G.I. Joe reviews, hopefully coming very soon. I know all the new stuff is hitting over in Europe. People have all the new Tiger Force and Python Patrol, Tiger Force Duke, Cover Girl, Crimson Bat, which, by the way, did you guys see the Crimson Bat packaging?
No.
I think it looks killer. And it's probably, like, you probably see it on Pulse or whatever, like just when you go to order it. But I just didn't look because I know I want the figure, so I don't go there and scroll through all the different images. But yeah, the Crimson Bat packaging looks awesome. It's windowless, but the art on the front looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I think we're just about done with Windows for all of our classified going forward.
Yeah, wasn't the Zorana wave it?
That was the last one. Yeah. Zorana, Crimson Guard, and Dusty. We're all done. Now, have you guys got Dusty?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay. So I can't remember if we really talked about it or not. Everybody knows now that you put on the separate goggles under the helmet, and it makes the helmet fit, but it still doesn't look right to me because I feel like it's sitting too high. How do you feel, though, about the elbows and the knees and the torso?
Did you even
notice?
I put them on my shelf 3 weeks ago when I opened them, and I was not that impressed, and I haven't really thought much about them since. I do remember watching your videos and you talking about your review of it and talking about those, and they didn't really stand out to me that much. Thing that stood up to me was that I wanted to pose them laying down and I couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, and I didn't really look. Has he just got a peg? He doesn't have the hinge right here?
I think so.
Was that the problem?
Yeah, I feel like the last wave they kind of did away with that, which sucks.
Which is not okay. Like that, you can't lose that, because that was such an impressive part of the early figures, was that hinge that makes all the difference in the world, that every Superman figure ever made should have. Because if you make a Superman action figure that cannot look like it's flying, you have failed in your job as a toy creator. All right, we got to check in with the chat. Craig, yes. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thank you. It was awesome. We got to use it. Night of the Nerdy Laser. What's up, Rich? Thanks for stopping by. We're glad you could be here tonight. Matthew, you've got the shirt from Joe Fest. It's awesome. And Golden Cub, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. The second day of the year. If you've been with us before, you know that I was very excited because this was going to be the first live stream in a long time where I didn't have to work the day of the live stream. And guess what? I just came off of 4 12-hour shifts in a row. I got back into work Friday and found out I was scheduled to work, tomorrow, which would have been even worse because how can I enjoy a tasty beverage when I got to be up at 3:30 in the morning? But anyway, yeah. So that's my new year so far. My first day off of the new year, I worked. How are you guys doing? How were your holidays? How did everything go in the various parts of the country you're in?
Oh, we had some stress. Overall, not too bad. Things for the most part worked out okay. We had some pet related stress, but for now, she's okay. We found out some news that's not good, but we're going to see how long we can manage it.
I got you. Yeah. And it seems like there is always one big negative at the holidays. Like there's always something that comes up right at the wrong time. Not that there's ever a right time, but this time of year, there's always something. All right. So the RoboSkull backer kit closed Saturday at midnight. Did you guys add anything else onto your orders, or did you leave it the way it is?
I left mine the way it is, not ordering the RoboSkull.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought one of you had ordered a RoboSkull.
No, remember? So I was RoboSkull or the Sky Striker.
Oh, that's right.
And at the last minute, I said, listen, I know I'm going to be able to get that RoboSkull again.
Yeah. Right.
So, wow. So you mean that backer kit has been open?
Yeah.
Since like last year?
Yeah. They had it open for pre-orders because all the product is going to be, it's supposed to be arriving in May. But yeah, they had the pre-orders open until midnight, January 31st. So you could go in and order the figures and a RoboSkull and add-ons and everything else.
Very impressive.
And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think. The Skeledrones actually came in stock crazy early. So people who had them pre-ordered got them, and they had enough extra that if you wanted them to just go in and buy them, they shipped them to you. And nice. I've got 2 sets of Skeledrones here because I'm not always the best at reading the information that is put in front of me. So we read the announcement about the Assassin Skeledrones, the blister carded version, coming into stock. And I kind of waited a little while, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't get mine. I'll just shoot them a message real quick and see what's up. And they very, very politely and nicely explained, yeah, that's the add-on Skeledrones. You're getting the ones that are part of the package, which is a completely different thing. Those are not here yet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I feel like a dum-dum. They said, but if you want these, they're in the store. You can buy them, and we've got enough to ship to you. So I immediately, as soon as I read that message from Kickstarter, went and ordered them. And like 5 minutes later, they sent me a message saying, hey, we just saw your order. We're going to ship them out tomorrow. Thanks so much. So that was amazing. Nice. They got here in a couple of days. And actually, you know what? Should I, guys in the chat that are 2 minutes behind us, should I open one of these right now? Take a look at them? Do a little live unboxing? Go for it. Let's see what we got here.
Uncarding.
I've been loving the creativity that people have been having with them on Instagram.
Yes, the Instagram pictures have been awesome. All right, this card is a little bendy. That's my fault. That's not how they arrived. I just brought them down here like this. So the card art is really cool. These things are devious and evil looking. And this is the card is very thick. Like the fact that I managed to bend it like this is all on me. This is a thick, high quality card, and the blister is on there. You know how a lot of independent toy manufacturers, you get something blister carded like this, and by the time it arrives to you, the blister is like coming off. This is solid. Like I'm going to have to work to get this thing off. And then on the back, if you see, even though this is an independently released product, it's a cross sell on the back of the card, which I think is amazing. I've got a bio on here. I'm not going to read that whole thing. I just want to get one of these guys out and take a look at him. At it. I guess these aren't gendered, probably. Although once they're in your hands, you can call them whatever you want.
Yeah.
All right. Very high quality, thick blister. Like, this is not skeezy blister. This is good stuff. Good thick plastic that's going to protect the toys in here. We'll get our little Skeledrone out. And you've got ball joints on each of the 4 legs. So they have kind of a flight mode. Like that, kind of flying saucer kind of thing going on. And then they've got a ground attack mode. You can put all the legs up. And I mean, these are completely, you can see these ball joints have a really wide range of motion. These are really, really nice. And then the head is also on a ball joint. I don't know how well you're really going to be able to see that, but it goes all the way around. Pretty good range on the head as well. And the head pops off and can be put on. I know for a fact you can put it on Marauder figures. It's the same peg size. And that's some of the pictures on Instagram. If you look up the RoboSkull or the Skeledrone hashtag, I'm sure you'll see some of the stuff people have been doing. Or just check out Skeletron's account. They've been reposting everything. But the paint on this, I know you guys aren't going to be able to see it here, but the paint is absolutely incredible. All of the joints have painted detail. There's a wash on the skull. Just a really sinister, evil-looking little thing that I'm delighted to have in my collection. And I think they might still have them in stock. Like, if you go check it out now, they're $15 for 3 of them plus shipping.
That's
and they're
really good.
Yeah. They're amazing. They're great. I cannot wait. After seeing the quality of these little guys, I cannot wait to get this RoboSkull in hand. And of course, the review will be available right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel.
Ding.
All right, let's check in with our chat here, see what we've got. Thor Golden Cub, thank you so much. You guys do not feel any obligation to whatever the donation
super chat.
Yeah, super chat. It's awesome. It's amazing. Thank you, but you do not have to do that. Let's see. Craig, no love for Dusty, it seems. Well, it probably doesn't get mail from his family either.
Oh.
I gotta tell you, that's why I am not, like, usually when stuff is sitting in my pile of loot or it hasn't hit my pile of loot yet, and I've been, everybody else has this and I don't. Everyone has been so meh about Dusty. I'm like, you're gonna sit there for a while until
and think about what you've done.
Exactly. You're gonna question all your life choices.
I did just get the notification to hit my pile of loot, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't canceled my big bad order yet. Let me do that now."
Meh, I'm not a big fan of meh, but meh is the right word. Like, I don't hate him at all.
Right.
But like, if they had just handled all of the colors in a way that I feel was better, I'd be much happier. Like, the paint on his face, even like, it's all off to the sides. He doesn't have any across his face. It's just, we've spent too much time on Dusty.
Yeah.
Now, if we want to talk about Dusty Rhodes, that would be a whole other thing. Let's see. Yes, we opened. Absolutely. Night of the Nerdy Laser. Rich, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. This and anything that we do get from the super chat, it all goes back into the show, whether it's production or I'm hoping to get more hats made. The last hats I had made were not really financially viable, but I want to get some more hats made, stuff like that. So it all goes to the show. Golden Cub, I still haven't gotten my AliExpress Serpentor yet. I hope I get him. I know Matthew Comstock, thank you so much. Happy 2023 to you as well, man. Tommy Throwback, Happy New Year, dudes. Happy New Year. Everybody's here for the new year. And what a year it's going to be.
That Serpentor goes, so my younger brother missed out on Mindbender the first time, and he got him when they did that restock or whatever along with the Serpentor.
Oh, yeah.
And he told me he received an email or has heard through forums or something that June like May, June is when they're expecting those to hit. So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Thor Golden Cub, that might be when your
Right.
Serpentor
If
is
Hasbro
going to
gets them
hit.
May, June, then AliExpress is probably going to be shipping them out because I think they're overseas. So I think they actually
Yeah.
tend to get their stock before HasLab does.
Oh, nice.
I could be mistaken about that, but I think just in seeing people reporting things coming in, if I'm remembering right, I think that's how it usually goes down.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Absolutely. All right. Oh, and one last thing about the Robo Skull. So I went back in. They got me because since I first backed it, I have really lost interest in, not lost interest, but I just currently don't really want to collect very much that's ME like 4-inch 25th anniversary style stuff. It's just not as interesting to me right now. O-ring and 6-inch is really what's engaging me. So I went in and I ordered 3 Wolf Troopers, the Jungle Wolf Trooper, and the pilot kit with the two the Wild Weasel head and the alternate head. I was just like, I know I'm going to want these guys. I don't want to pay an upcharge for them. And I want them to just come with everything else, because picturing that Robo Skull with, a bunch of 6-inch figures in front of it, good to go. Cause it comes with the pilot. That's a 4-inch, and that's cool. Cause I want to try out the 2-seater, but that 6-inch and O-ring, man, that's just what's got me right now.
Well,
all right.
Online discussions or anything, I think that's pretty much it for a lot of people.
Well, for a lot of people, there are still tons of 25th anniversary,
for
modern
sure.
era, whatever you want to call it, people who are still actively into that. Eagle Force, we've talked about Eagle Force Returns a lot, and that stuff looks fantastic. I got the one of the figures, and it's great. Well, and I got the one at Joe Fest as well, and they're excellent. If you want that format, the quality couldn't be better on those. But it's just not right now. It's just not what I'm engaged in. All right. Moving on. IDW is officially done with G.I. Joe, but one of the unanticipated bits of fallout from that is the classic G.I. Joe comics, or all G.I. Joe comics, are no longer available digitally. Because of the license, because they were licensed through IDW to Kindle and wherever else, they are no longer online, which is why I always say physical media is the best way to have anything.
Well, this is going to be like when I was holding on to my original iPod, because I have the trade paperbacks downloaded onto my Kindle from Unlimited. So as soon as I return them, then they'll be gone. But they're at least as of last night, they were still there.
So as long as you've got them downloaded, you're good to go. And that was one of the things I read was that, like, that for whatever reason, I don't quite get how that works, because music works the same way. You can download music from Amazon, and even if the license lapses, if you've got it downloaded, it's fine. I don't know.
I don't know either, but this definitely means I'm holding on to it until. Yeah.
But there's a reason why I use completely legal BitTorrent for a lot of media if I want to make sure that I have it forever.
Imports. We like imports.
Imports, that's right.
But chances are, was it determined for sure that Robert Kirkman's imprint was getting it? I think it was, right?
I believe so. It seems like that announcement was forever ago.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's like
it was so long ago. I cannot remember exactly what we said about it.
Yeah.
But I would imagine the new publisher, because what I would really like to see is nicely remastered Marvel comics, because some of the trades I've got are not the best quality. Like they just kind of reprinted and didn't really plus them up any. So I would like to see that physical version. Well, physical and digital, because if you're going to put out physical, upload the digital as well. But I would think that whoever gets it is going to capitalize on that library. I would hope. All right, from Punk Rock Warlord on Instagram. And if anybody in the chat got this email, let us know. None of us did, because none of us felt we needed the Nerf blaster in our collections. So this was brought to our attention by a listener. Nerf limited G.I. Joe GI-40 blaster. Unfortunately, this item is now unavailable and we are unable to fulfill your pre-order. Because of this, your pre-order has been canceled and your form of payment on file will not be charged. We apologize for the inconvenience. As a token of appreciation for your continued support, we would like to offer a 10% discount on a future purchase.
So it looks like most of the other community was just as enthusiastic about this product as we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if you're a Nerf collector, then it was probably cool. If you collect Nerf and GI Joe, then it was probably a must-have. But for me, as somebody who loves expanded GI Joe merchandise, I'm tracking. Well, I'm not going to say what I'm tracking because I don't want everybody going and jumping on it. There's something on Mercari right now. It is not a toy at all. It is tertiary GI Joe merchandise that I'm as excited about as I would be about a toy. I love that stuff. I love branded, licensed merchandise, like the swim fins and cake pans and whatever else.
Electric
I love that
toothbrush.
Yes, electric.
I still have my
toothbrush.
GI Joe electric toothbrush.
Right, I love that stuff. So like, if the Nerf gun had a design or an aesthetic that appealed to me a little bit more, or if they had just straight up released some of the Nerf guns from the first waves of Classified, just branded as GI Joe, like I would have been all over it. I would have bought everything they did. If they had done, what was it, Beachhead, the Cobra Infantry,
yeah, infantry.
If they had just released that stuff in GI Joe packaging, branded as GI Joe, I would have bought it all, but that just didn't do it for me. And I think maybe it's kind of like a shoe, like, you know how they do like weird designer shoes with all kinds of crazy prints and almost like a graffiti style to them. I think they were trying to capture something like that, but it didn't work for me. And apparently it didn't work for many other people either. All right, update on the news. Super 7 Ultimates. Everybody's wondering, where are these Super 7 Ultimates? And we've been saying for months, well, one thing we know from Brian Flynn is that they got sent back to the factory to make some changes to things that he did not find acceptable in the final tooling samples that he got. So that was one big delay. But as of right now, the newest update from Super 7, Wave 1, which is Duke, Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander, and the Cobra Bat, are in production and leaving the factory soon, shipping to customers in late February, which is a little earlier than the last update that we had. Wave 2, Baroness, Destro, Flint, Lady J, in production and scheduled to leave the factory in early March and ship to customers in late April, which is a little later than because we thought we were going to end up getting both of them in about March. But I think Chinese New Year is probably interfering a little bit with both of those. And then Wave 3, Doc, Scarlet, Storm Shadow, Cobra Soldier, they're in tooling review with the factory, scheduled to leave the factory in late April and ship to customers in late May. So February, April, May, 12 G.I. Joe figures, not too bad. I'll take it. And they have not announced anything beyond that because they had previously stated until we have Wave 1 in customers' hands, we're not announcing anything beyond Wave 3. And they did state also that they have 5 waves concrete planned out as of now. Or as of 2 years ago, I guess. But, you know how it goes with Super 7. So are you guys still hyped about these at all? Has it been so long that you're kind of like, whatever? What are your feelings?
The only one that I had pre-ordered was Cobra Commander. I still have him in my, as a pre-order. There is a part of me that has sort of, because we're now getting our Hasbro product.
Right.
it's kind of like on the back burner, but the reason why I haven't canceled it is with all the other Super 7 Ultimate stuff that I've gotten, I know as soon as I have it in hand, I'm gonna just absolutely fall in love with it. So I don't want to cancel and then see your review and be kicking myself.
And
you
think,
get the
I'm
FOMO.
gonna have to wait a week for this to get here now.
Yeah. Because I still think like that Cobra Commander is the Cobra Commander that I want on my shelf. I know aesthetically he's not going to fit in with the classifieds,
Right.
but more so than the Cobra Commander we have in classifieds right now, that Super 7 one is it.
Well, I mean, the Pop Culture Shock Cobra Commander I've got, the Sideshow Collectibles Cobra Commander I've got. They don't fit in with anything else, but they're fantastic, and I'm glad I've got them on the shelf. I mean, there's certain pieces or certain characters that you just want to have great representations of, even if they don't line up with the rest of your collections.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you with these guys, Noel? Did you even cave in?
No, I
You're
didn't
such
do
a
any of them.
rock.
I mean, like I said, the Flint and the Lady J were really tempting just because I love the anime colors for those two. But they released them in reaction,
Right,
so
right.
I got little versions of them, and I thought about the Bat too, just because even if it is a bigger scale, I kind of cool giant bats hulking over my classified figures might look kind of cool,
or hulking over your reaction figures.
Well, that's true too.
They could be
It could be like the Saturday
bats.
morning cartoon comic bat.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, ultimately, I did not go for any of them. Just the cost prohibitive for that. Like I said, all the Ultimates I bought on like super deep discount, like the Optimus Prime that I got for $21.
And as much as I hate to say it, it seems like Super 7 massively overproduced a lot of the things that have come out recently. And you see things like Bonsaitron going for $21, and what was the whole set of Transformers was like $70 or $65 or something.
Really, really cheap.
Like tons of Ultimates that have come out over the past 6 months or year, you can get for $35 or less now. So I think the Joes probably fall into at least the first two waves of Joes fall into those same production numbers. And even though I ordered mine direct from Super 7, so I'm getting them either way because I don't even know if you can cancel pre-orders from them.
The way people talk online, it sounds like you can. I've not had to, but yeah.
I just and I want them as soon as possible because I've got to review them for the Needless Things YouTube channel.
But when you sent the notes about that, I keep thinking we went through that huge gap of time where Hasbro wasn't getting anything out either. And I understand this is longer, but it just seems like now that we're getting the Hasbro stuff, people have sort of circled back to, oh, wait, now we're not getting our stuff from Super 7. Like,
we always need something to complain about.
Right. I guess so.
A buddy of mine.
Let's enjoy our Hasbro
internet
stuff
is fueled by rage.
Because once it hit, we just been getting wave after wave after wave after wave. And at least in the last interview I saw with Brian Flynn, it really does sound like Chinese New Year. Like the factories are wanting to try and get everything out before it all shuts down. So
and also
I feel like at least we're going to have the same thing where once that first wave hits, it's just going to be like a domino effect.
Well, and they're still dealing with COVID lockdowns over there as well.
Oh, that's true too.
So it's not, everything is not hunky dory in little plastic person land. One of the guys I worked with years ago, he in describing kind of the human condition, he said they could come in here today and tell us that we could work 1 day a week, a month, and get paid the same, and people in here would complain about which day they had to work. And he's 100% right. It's just human nature. It's why we're indoors right now and we have plumbing and air conditioning. It's that need. It's me wanty.
Right.
Me Wanty has gotten us where we are right now online talking about G.I. Joe. Speaking of online, what do we got over here?
Speaking of guys named Brian, go check the chat real quick because we need to throw out some big time thank yous.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Brian
What is
Green.
happening?
Thank you. You rock.
Brian, you are unbelievable. That is amazing. I'm blown away. We've been sitting here babbling while Brian. Oh, wait a minute. I hit the wrong button on my phone. Can you guys pull up Brian's full ID? All I've got is Brian ...
It just says Brian Green.
Okay.
$50.
Brian Green, you are awesome.
Thank you, Brian Green.
I'm going to get some hats made, Brian. Matthew Comstock, Physical Media Forever. That's right, buddy. You know it.
Yeah.
You've seen it before. I tried to fill up the gaps of my IDW collection on Comixology, and I waited too late. And
so can you not even get issue 300 now? Like, is there stuff just gone? That doesn't.
I guess so, because it would be end of the year. It wouldn't matter how recent anything
that
was.
Just came out.
Right. So go to your local comic shop.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I've been meaning for a month now. My wife picked up issue 300 for me just because, my son, I don't really get comics anymore, but my son does. And she took him to the comic shop and saw that. And they told her, like, yeah, that's the last issue. Is your husband still doing the G.I. Joe podcast? And I'm like, well, thanks for keeping up with the podcast. But anyway, she brought it home to me. I haven't read it yet, but I figure at some point we need to talk about it. 2 months after it's already come out. Let's see. So, Craig. So what happens to 300? That we're supposed to come packaged with those Nerf guns. Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that.
So I wonder if those got produced. Well, if obviously they didn't produce the guns, and I feel like the guns would have gone into production prior to the comics being printed.
Yeah.
So either they don't exist, or Hasbro's going to show up to like San Diego Comic-Con with a bunch of free comics to hand out.
Uh-huh.
One or the other.
It's free comic book day on a not free comic book day.
You're right. Kevin Riddle, hopefully we can see some at Joe Fest. And Matthew Comstock, the individual issues are available, but not the collections. Oh,
Okay,
interesting. Okay. So it's just the old trade paperbacks and stuff. I wonder if that's because of the publishing date that some part of the agreement on Kindle or whatever is that they do carry the issue for X amount of months after it originally comes out. Like there's probably a different deal in place for currently published product versus archival stuff. That's my guess. I know nothing. That's just me speculating. All right. Sergeant Slaughter is going to be at Joe Fest right alongside your pals from Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. We have not yet nailed down what we're going to be doing there. But as we said last year, even if we have to show up with a table and sit in the parking lot doing episodes, that's what we'll do. But hopefully we will actually be part of the programming again. Sergeant Slaughter will be there. And I'm a big fan. You guys know I'm a big fan of getting action figures signed. When I went to Joe Fest last year, I got a bunch of reaction figures signed by the voice actors. I have a ton of wrestling figures signed. Like, I just think it's really, really cool to have the person sign the little person that they are. Like, it's one of my things. I'd rather get figures signed than anything else. However, and I've already got a couple of different Sergeant Slaughter items signed, and I'm going to bring the Mattel Ultimate Edition Sergeant Slaughter to get signed. But I don't think I'm very interested in getting the classified Sarge signed because it's in that windowless packaging. So you don't get that cool effect of like, here's the figure with the signature in front of it. It would just be him signing a box. And I don't think I care about that. What do you guys?
The hidden downfalls of the windowless packaging, all the things you didn't think about.
Yeah. And look, I'll trade it to get rid of those darn plastic trays, but it does put a different wrinkle on one of my favorite sub hobbies, I guess.
Yeah,
Have you guys ever considered?
As somebody who doesn't do any sort of autographs, it's not something that's ever been a concern of mine, but I could see if you are, yeah, I mean, I've been down in the Phantom Zone. I have seen like all the really cool signed figures, and yeah, that window with the actual figure inside it's pretty cool to see.
Right.
So, yeah, it definitely
But
takes something away.
Just a box.
It's like having a comic book signed or something like that. It's
well,
cool.
And that's the thing though, is it's really not different from getting like an 8x10 or a comic book.
Yeah.
Those are, why not get those signed? But for some reason, the figure in the box doesn't seem as exciting. I don't know. I might order one anyway, just so I've got it, because I don't want to get down there and decide I really, really need to have it and then have to spend $70 on one from a vendor. Because I've done that before. When I met Shawn Michaels at Days of the Dead, I had it timed to go get my picture taken with him. And I got that done. After I got the picture taken, they were like, well, if you come back to this table, you can take the picture back to him to get it signed in an hour or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So we went through the dealer room and I bought a Shawn Michaels figure to get signed, took the figure back, got my picture, and he was gone.
Oh
yeah. For the weekend. This was like Friday. He left.
My gosh.
He left at like 3 on Friday. He was done.
What did you do during that photo that just made that man decide he had to leave?
Well,
uh-oh.
So years ago, Shawn Michaels suffered an injury in the ring that caused one of his eyes to turn in. I have since birth had a condition, strabismus, I believe it's called, where when I'm really tired or drunk or whatever, sometimes if I'm focusing in the wrong way, my eye will also kind of turn in. And in the picture, my eye turns in a little bit. Shawn Michaels' eye is turned in. And I can only hope that he doesn't think that I was mocking his lazy eye with my own lazy eye. That's not what was happening. Please, Mr. Hickenbottom, understand, because I know he's going to see this. I was not mocking you. I have my own problems. Anyway, wow, that went off the rails. Who wants another segment? A brand new segment that I decided on last week. It is called Sound Off. And if you follow Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram, an image went up earlier today and will continue going up every time we're going to do a live stream, where I will ask our Instagram followers for stuff to talk about here on the show. I'll make the notes, bring it up, and we'll talk about it. So that's what we're going to do right now. The segment is called Sound Off. From Joe Hunter 73, anticipation of the HasLab Sky Striker. When we will actually get it? Because what I had asked is, what do you want us to talk about? I can't wait. Also, what are your 2023 collection goals? So let's start with Kristian on this one. When will we actually get the Sky Striker? We know that the date was January 12th, I think.
Yep. So sorry to all of the backers out there and everyone who is anxious for this. I am anxious for it as well. However, my birthday is like 11 days after the 12th. So I would like it to be delayed by a week so I don't have to be patient and hold on to it until my birthday to open it. I would love for it to show up just a few days before.
Sure.
So yeah. And my collection goals sort of depends on what ends up happening with any O-ring announcements or HasLab announcements.
Right.
I always try to pick at least one big thing every year. Like, this is my white whale that I want to get. And absolutely the FOMO of you and Noel getting your G.I. Joe headquarters this past year just keeps eating away at my soul. So my 2023 goal is to get a G.I. Joe headquarters.
Nice. Very nice. Noel, what about you? Do you think Sky Striker is you think it's going to immediately start shipping? Is it going to be waves that take like months, or how have these been going? I don't even remember.
Well, I don't know, because we've not had a HasLab for GI Joe yet, and I have not actually purchased any other previous HasLab, so I don't know what the waves were really like when those were shipping. I would imagine it's probably not going to ship immediately right after the 12th. It'll probably be a few weeks before people start receiving them. That would be my guess, but then again, I'm not as experienced with that.
I am, but I cannot remember, because I got the sail barge, I got the Razor Crest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's.
I was close to getting the Unicron, but I was like, where am I going to put him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as my goals for next year, filling in the holes in the collections that I have is just, I'm less like adamant. I'm not like actively trolling eBay every night like I have been at some points in the past. I'm just kind of like, if I see a good deal, I'll grab it. It'll be fun to go fill them in at the upcoming shows that I'm going at this year. My big kind of white whale goal for me is to get a Terradrome. I actually waited around at Joe Fest last year just for the raffle drawing, just to see if those 5 tickets I put in might yield me a Terradrome, but it didn't. Right. But no, and again, I don't know where I'm going to put the thing if I get it, but it's one of the things that I would love to have as kind of a central piece of my collection.
So I think this is my guess, and I don't think the sail barge and the Razor Crest took tremendously long time between the first time I saw it online and when I received mine. I feel like it was not more than a couple of weeks in how they shipped out, but the numbers were way smaller on the sail barge than on any other HasLab. But I feel like, what is the 12th? That's 10 days from today. So that is a Thursday. I feel like those will start shipping out probably over that weekend. Because they work over the weekend. I've seen stuff ship out from Hasbro Pulse before on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll start going out that weekend, and I think they'll be pretty steady with it. And within a few weeks, I would imagine everybody will have them. That's my guess. That's our speculation. As far as collecting goals for 2023, kind of same as you, Noel. Because I was in a mad rush to get certain things for my Real American Hero collection. And now I'm at a point where I enjoyed buying stuff in person so much last year that I'm really trying to be patient and not buy a whole lot online. I am eyeballing. Well, I mentioned earlier, there's an item I'm looking at on Mercari, but I do want a Slugger really badly right now. For some reason, that is just stuck in my craw because it's such a simple thing. It's not terribly expensive. I've already got Thunder complete.
And it's an easy toy to get complete because it's only got like 2 parts.
The biggest problem I've seen with them is the gun is broken, or some of the whatever they are broken off that backstop piece.
Oh yeah.
Some of the little pokey things.
The hinge for the cover.
Yeah.
That piece can sometimes get lost, but
okay.
For the most part, it's compared to a lot of other GI Joe vehicles that size, it doesn't have a lot of parts that you can.
Yeah, there's not much to it. So I just need to hammer down and really find myself a Slugger. But I mean, otherwise collecting is normal, buying from way too many lines, getting addicted to way too many things. At classified Super 7 Ultimates, so much, it's ridiculous. It's really dumb. And I'm just going to keep being dumb and posting reviews right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Let's see. Classified with many hyphens and a 3. Okay. If you check out Spade, SPADE _designs_ on Instagram, they're a independent printing and design company. And they have a low light shirt that is really, really cool. It's kind of I know there's a term for this kind of art. It's all like line work, There's no, like, the face is blacked out, but it's got the goggles and the hat and all of the line detail. Really, really killer looking design that's available through their Instagram. It's spade_designs_. This was brought to my attention under the sound off. Or no, actually, this was sent as a message, but I put it under sound off because it's Instagram. Go check that out, though. It's very, very cool looking shirt. G.I. Joe_Ajo. You are writing a mission for the Joe team. Where do you go? And who goes? Typical 4 to 6 group? Sierra Gordo, Fruzenland, Barovia, Benzine, other country? So quick, off the top of your head, totally unfair for me to not prepare you guys for this. Kristian, you started last time. Noel?
Ooh, so
just real quick, throw a squad together. Where are they going?
I'm gonna grab, I'm gonna get some stuff that comes out of my head from the comics too. I'm going to Sierra Gordo. I'm gonna bring some of my favorites. I gotta have Stalker leading the crew. You're gonna have Outback. Maybe you get Alpine and Bazooka along the way, just because you want to have some banter. So that's gonna be my core, along with maybe a Scarlet and a Snake Eyes backing them up too.
Okay, before I go, I got to check in with the chat real quick. Matthew Comstock says the cover is not cover for issue 300. The special cover that was coming with the Nerf gun is not being produced. The After Action Report guys confirmed it. Night of the Nerdy Laser, autographs on the plastic can pop too, depending on the paint pen, but maybe the key is a bright color on the Sergeant Slaughter packaging. And that's kind of what I was thinking, is if I get that Slaughter, get it in like a really bright yellow Posca paint pen, that could still look pretty awesome. Bees Battlegrounds, the autographed plastic-free packaging would look like lackluster compared to the signed window. 100%. Let's see. So cool. Very cool. Love the show. Happy New Year, guys. Brian Green, you're the man. Tommy Throwback, going big, Kristian. Craig. Oh, thanks for yes, thank you, Craig, for verifying, or thank you, Matthew, for verifying that about the cover. Thor Golden Cub. After Galactus, I had to wait. I got my Galactus at the end of October, so it was more than a year, if that reflects on the Sky Striker. But as far as the shipping time, and actually now that you mentioned that, my son got Galactus, and I want to say it was within 2 weeks of when we got when the cutoff date was. So that kind of lines up with what I was thinking. Planning a live unboxing event. I probably not, because when I get the Sky Striker, I'm going to want to put out like as nice a video as I can. So I'm going to want to produce it. I'm going to want to do some editing, because it's a big piece that I'm going to have to cut different parts together. I'm going to have to do assembly. I'm going to have to put the stickers on. So it's very unlikely I'd do a live unboxing for that one. But I do have a non-G.I. Joe live unboxing that I'm kind of kicking around, coming up pretty soon. So pay attention for that. It could be, the time length could be eternal.
The jokes just write themselves here, folks.
Don't they? Ryan Schweck. Ryan, what's up, man? Ryan Schweck. There's a new toy store in Auburn, and they get everything plus charge the same as retail. It's got me excited again.
Awesome.
Tommy Throwback. Kristian knows I need a Sky Striker.
Yes.
And finally, Thor Golden Cub. Yay for Alpine and Bazooka. They should be a 2-pack. I'd be down with that. I mean, we got to get Alpine and Bazooka, and we're getting Bazooka. Alpine. We need the announcement. We need the announcement. All right, so I'll go ahead and throw out my mission. And because I'm very tired and I've worked a lot, you guys can probably predict what I'm going to say. Leatherneck, wetsuit, dial tone, mainframe, Claymore, and they're going to Brazil. Kristian, what about you?
Okay, mine are going to Vancouver, and it's going to be Shipwreck, Cover Girl, Stalker, Law and Order.
Okay, so they're going there to check out kind of the film industry, maybe hang out with
yeah, that's Cobra's latest plot. They're kind of taking over and
send Scoops with them. Undercover cameraman type deal.
Wait, am I getting him confused real quick? Is he not the guy that has the weird satellite dish thingies on
Oh,
his
that was Psych
elbows.
Out.
No, that's
that
Psych
was
Out.
Psych Out.
Although he
Out.
could
Okay.
go along too, because you're
Ooh.
definitely going to need some psychological warfare to deal with all those Hollywood people.
Well, if you've been to Vancouver, you know you'll need some psychological warfare.
I want to go to Vancouver. I haven't been.
Scoop was the Cobra agent who turned Joe in Operation Dragonfire. He's the journalist.
He's like, yeah, he comes with the little video camera.
Yeah.
Was my thinking. I keep it simple here, folks. Podcast from the Pit. Shout out to Podcast from the Pit. Everybody check them out on Instagram. Check out their show. What you would want to see out of the new O-ring line. I think we've talked about that a little bit, but just to reiterate, I want more vehicles like the Stinger. I want more interesting stuff like that Duke and Cobra Commander in the different colors. I actually like those a lot more than I thought I would. And I want figures we've never seen before, or characters we've never seen before, like Dr. Venom. I want Dr. Venom in some format. Yeah. Come on. And Super Trooper.
Yeah, I want more like Sunbow accurate versions of the figures that we had as a kid. I'd like to get more, things to kind of replace. I know they're not going to look identical to the ones that I have on my shelf, but maybe some to fill in some holes, maybe some more troop builders, that sort of thing. But I think getting some that match like Sunbow colors better would be kind of a fun way to get additional O-rings.
Yeah, I very much liked what Super 7 did with the Masters of the Universe, where they did kind of the Filmation versions.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a cool concept. The Filmation versions of the squatty little guys, like not the classics ones, but like they were the old style figures, but done like the cartoon. Like I was very tempted by those because that's what I wanted them to look like when I was a kid. And I think Hasbro could do the same thing with O-rings.
I just want them individually carded. I don't want 2-packs, and I want them. And I know even when you look at the price of reaction figures, I want Hasbro to price these more accordingly to what makes sense.
Yeah, get rid of. Well, okay. So my instinct is to say get rid of the big piles of unnecessary accessories, but Cobra Commander and Duke actually came with really cool new accessories that were appropriate to Sunbow. So if that's the stuff you're putting in there with the upcharge, I'm kind of okay with that.
If it makes sense,
right?
I'm okay with it. Like Sergeant Slaughter, hands down.
If they give him an itty bitty ditty bag,
I think,
and they make an O-ring Sergeant Slaughter.
But I think value wise, he's one of the best classifieds we've gotten. He costs a little bit more, but look at everything extra that came with him, minus the mini Slaughter.
I include the mini Slaughter, like, because if you whether or not you like or want the mini Slaughter, it is part of the value of that figure.
Sure.
But all the alternate hands, the sunglasses, the whistle, and just the quality. Like you've also got to consider the hat, the sunglasses, they fit perfectly.
100%. That's why I think, like with the O-ring figures, if you're giving us extra accessories that make sense, like you said, that add more to it. Yeah. If they're new sculpts and I am paying for that, I got no problem for it.
Yes.
If you're charging me a premium price, bingo, for a bunch of weapons that you already have the molds for, then let's just calm down.
Right. All right. So the next two kind of go together. And they really kind of go with the last one as well. Vintage Scoundrel. I want to talk about the Joe Team's Silent Interlude. Regarding the O-ring line, I get that it doesn't seem to be a priority, but seriously, nothing, not a peep. What gives? And then Silent Interlude, oddly enough, says, came for this. I want O-ring news. Classified are awesome, and they're doing a great job on them, but I'm an O-ring guy. We got 9 O-ring retro figures total in 2022. We get 7 more with the Sky Striker, even though the Trooper and Cobra Commander are not super different. I could live with 8 to 10 O-rings a year, but hearing nothing worries me, plus their little blurb before the movie when they said classified was the size now. And then he gave 3 teeth emojis, the like, what is that? Discomfort emojis, whatever, you know what I mean.
Grimace.
Grimace. Thank you.
Grimace emoji.
Not to be confused with the big purple guy. So here is my theory. We all know that shipping was a disaster for the last 2 years. I think there's a decent chance that Hasbro, because they like making money, maybe intended for O-ring things to happen a little sooner, but because of the problems with classified, they really wanted to give classified a chance to take hold with people who didn't necessarily want classified, but were buying it because there was nothing else. I am 100% certain there are O-ring collectors out there that if they had had a steady supply of O-ring product for the last year, would not have bought classified figures. And I think Hasbro knows this. So my optimistic and yet oddly cynical at the same time outlook is that Hasbro said, let's let these people keep buying classified. We want them to have enough in their collection so they're addicted, so they keep buying classified. And then 2023, when the Sky Striker hits, we'll let them know what our O-ring plans are. Because I still believe in the Retroverse. I still think Hasbro does have big O-ring plans. I don't think they've been derailed. I also think the packaging snafu could have been an issue where Hasbro went back on their decision that everything was going to be plastic free. Because if you remember, they said, well, we're going to walk that back, and now vintage retro style stuff will retain the plastic bubbles. So that could have caused a holdup as well. I think there are a lot of potential reasons for why we have not heard anything about O-ring. And if you know how corporate speak works, they're not going to give us like half information. They're not going to make a statement until there's a statement to be made. Emily's not going to say they have never in the history of G.I. Joe having the representation it has right now, which, by the way, we've never had before at all. The amount of communication that we get about G.I. Joe at this point is mind-blowing. And I know a lot of people feel dissatisfied and a lot of people feel like, oh, well, they're not telling us enough. They're telling us 1 billion times more than they ever have before. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're giving us as much information as we might want, but they're certainly giving us, I think, as much as they can. Because
from a marketing standpoint, if they had X amount of O-ring figures planned for this year, but they knew they were going to do more, if you wait until the Sky Striker drops and people are super excited for it,
right,
there's going to be that nostalgia pool, even for people that aren't
stuff
the Joe
to go
fans.
with this.
Bingo. Then you drop that news, and when you put those pre-orders up, you're going to get people that maybe, well, like me, that had gotten out of O-ring and now are falling back into it.
Exactly. So I think there are a lot of good reasons why we haven't heard anything, and we may end up being completely wrong. They may drop a bomb on us, and I think there's a good chance we're going to get a new live stream within the next 4 or 5 weeks. And maybe they're going to drop a bomb and say, you know what, O-ring didn't work out. Sorry, guys. I don't think that's very likely, though.
No, they've sold out. I mean, it would not necessarily sold out because you could still get the 2-packs, but I mean, the Stinger sold out quickly. The Sky Striker funded. I think that they know there's a market,
right?
So it's
they're
going to
figure something.
They're treading
out.
lightly,
right?
But they want to make sure they're making the right decision on it.
So keep the faith. I know it's been a while, but I really still believe that Hasbro has O-ring plans, and I still believe it's going to be the Retroverse. Because let me throw this little nugget out there for everybody. I'll wait. I'll hold on to the nugget. Well, no, we'll go right into our next bit. That's it for Sound Off. That was everybody. Thank you so much for throwing out your suggestions. Every other Monday, we're going to be doing live streams, and I will go on Instagram and throw up that Sound Off graphic. So if you got something you want us to talk about, comment on the post, and we'll talk about it on the show. What do we got?
Speaking of O-rings.
Kristian's Poutine Patrol in Vancouver.
Yes.
Cobra Vancouver
you win
plot.
the night.
Shouldn't Snow Job join? Yes, for Sunbow accurate. And Craig Dukas, create the O-ring frenzy again and then strike. Exactly. That's what we're saying is once that Sky Striker's out there, people are going to be thirsty for those little guys and gals. All right. So yes, Noel, why don't you drop the next little piece of information on us?
Well, I mean, there are a few things that are going to get my my Jimmy's very rustled and excited, and you couldn't plan it better than this. Now, I as I said when I shared this information with you, I am taking this with a grain of salt, but this got shared throughout like pretty much everywhere that was carrying GI Joe news. So there's probably some kernel of truth to it, but the rumor, of course, is that we're getting a Thunder Machine / Soundwave Transformers crossover with an O-ring Xandar, Zorana, and also a Ravage of some sort. So
I think it was it Zartan or Xandar?
Oh, sorry, Zartan and Zorana. Yeah, sorry, and Ravage. So that's exciting, and I know that the two that they've done thus far, they're not perfect toys, but they're great, and I think that they were a good value for what they were. And Thunder Machine's the right size to do it. Soundwave is the right character, if you're trying to get those major characters. So I'm just dying for the day that this news actually comes out as being real.
Well, and the source of the news is JT Prime 17, who I believe has about a 90% accuracy rate for rumors coming true. Apparently this person has sources that tend to know what they're talking about. So I feel pretty comfortable getting excited about this. I'm not, 100% like, yes, expecting the announcement any day, but I'm okay with being excited for it and speculating. Let me throw this out at you guys. So Soundwave with the Dreadnoks, you know what that says to me? That says rock and roll. And that says Cold Slither. So what if Zartan and Zorana are in Cold Slither themed gear, like along the lines of that Zorana, the SDCC Zorana from years ago? And Ravage is a flash drive with the song on it.
We can all dream.
I mean, I think that would be awesome.
I'd love it. I think we're probably going to get pretty straightforward versions of Zartan and Zorana if we get them, because
I think you're right.
Way they've done it with these thus far. It'll be interesting to see if they do with Zartan and Zorana, if they do the color changing gimmick.
I'd almost rather they didn't if it's going to be the same thing as the classified Zartan, because he's on my shelf just looking kind of like corpsey.
Yeah.
I like, it's cool. It's a different look, but I don't want my O-rings to be that dead gray color. I'd rather them, ideally I want them to have a really nice color change, but I'd rather them not do it at all than look like this classified Zartan.
Yeah.
Or what if they do variants of the figures, kind of the same way that Zorana was, where you can order either the Cold Slither set or the regular set. I don't think there's any way that happens. Oh, okay. What if they do this? They do Thunder Machine Soundwave with the figures, just regular release, comes out in March or whatever. San Diego Comic-Con, everything is recolored to Cold Slither, including the Thunder Machine is in like some crazy different colors. Zartan and Zorana are.
You might as well get some use out of that mold, right?
Right.
That's
an
true.
Exclusive recolor. Why not?
Anyway, that was my little thought. And the other thing I'm going to add on to that. So they have successfully created 2 Transformer GI Joe vehicles. It's done. They're great. And like Noel said, they're not, well, I don't know. I think Bumblebee's pretty perfect. I don't think
it's a good
be
toy.
Much better. So if they can do that, they can 100% do mask vehicles.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be a nice part of the Retroverse? 3 3/4 inch mask, again, like I've been dreaming of since I was a kid, to go with Transformers that turn into G.I. Joe vehicles. I mean, That's a jackpot.
While
Hasbro.
while you're using that licensing deal with GM to get the front end of that Firebird for the Thunder Machine, you also get it for the Camaro.
Yes.
For the, what do you call it? The
Thunderhawk?
Thunderhawk, yes. Thunder Machine, Thunderhawk.
All right, let's see. We got some more comments here. Matthew Comstock, Xandar gets no love. Xandar gets no love, and I don't get it, because when I was a kid, I like, well, first of all, when I was a kid, Xandar and Zarana were always together. I liked Xandar because he really stood out, like, from all of the other male figures. Like, he's a very different figure. He goes with Zarana, like,
which is really ironic if you read his file card.
Well, right, exactly. He shouldn't stand out at all. But I just always loved that figure. And I just, the whole twin thing, like, make something of that, Hasbro. And I know we don't really get file cards, and that's fine. I don't care. But, like, make these companion pieces, because that's another element of it, is anytime you can make two different releases correspond, just like they're doing with the Crimson Bat, the Crimson Guards, and the Crimson Twins, like, that's marketing.
Yeah, one sells the other.
You've got this one, now you need this one. Cold Slither, that's right, Cold Slither. If they do the color changing, will they include the clear chest plate again for Zartan? That's a good question. If he does not color change, then I would rather him just have, like, a black chest plate, I think. Although the heat rub technology is different from the photochromatic technology. So if they could do the, like, Battle Beast Transformers style heat rub, that would be cool. I'd be good with that. But it was under, I'm trying to remember, it's under the chest plate, but it still works, right? I haven't
I don't know, because like I said, when we reviewed his figure, like, my friends, I don't think nobody ever had the stickers.
I can't remember if you had to take the chest plate off to get that part to work. I don't think so. I don't know. Interesting. But yeah, if they could do that heat rub, that would be cool. I'd be down with that. Otherwise, just put a black chest plate on him.
Yeah.
All right. Kristian, you want to tell us about this classified HasLab rumor?
Yeah, so it's sort of like, it just popped into my head as you guys were talking about the Thunder Machine, about how, it's funny, there's one rumor going around that they've, maybe not from Hasbro, but from someone within, has made it a point to go around and say it's just a rumor, but they're not doing that with the Thunder Machine. Anyway,
yeah, good point.
Yep.
So a rumor came out this week that a disgruntled employee, whatever, said, hey, the HasLab, the next HasLab is going to be a classified Dragonfly with Wild Bill, which I just asked for in our last episode. So
yeah, we've been talking about that.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Lenny and Emily. Anyway, so they were saying it's like 3 feet long. The blade width, the helicopter span blades is massive. Thing is, I don't know. I tried to go onto the forums to see, okay, when did this all start and how much validity is there with it? And it just doesn't seem like there's anything there. Now, having done theme parks for a good chunk of my career, I always feel like when information like this gets out there, there's always some sort of sliver of truth. Doesn't necessarily mean that the Dragonfly is the next one, but there absolutely could be people that are working on it.
Right.
This guy or this person could have been, or they could have seen the drawings. But with all the constant chatter that was happening on the the forums and the article over on Toy Newsy. It just seems like the original person that dropped this bombshell just sort of disappeared, and
Well,
now
from
it's
what I
everybody in the
understand,
fandom that's
from
keeping the conversation going.
what it sounded like to me was that it was somebody who was contracted to do, it was an artist who was contracted to do work on it, and they felt like they had been slighted in some way, so they spilled it.
Sure. I
But
mean,
we don't
welcome to
know
the
what
industry.
stage. We don't know what stage of development it was in. We don't know if it's something they were working on a year ago and got scrapped.
Right.
We have
But
no
that's why when
idea.
when
Even if
people
it's
were saying,
true, we don't know what level
right.
stage it got to.
So that's where, in some of the posts where people are saying that it's, going to fall in the $500 to $600 range to back it. Well, but why? There's nothing to go along with it to
Right,
sort
right.
of justify anything that's being said. So this rumor, I put a big old red light on it and say, my gut is, we got a Hiss tank because that is a very iconic GI Joe vehicle for Cobra.
Right.
If they're going to do a Joe vehicle as their next HasLab in the classified series, as much as I love the Dragonfly, I don't know that it's the iconic vehicle.
Right. And it's also a very, very large figure to go with your first Joe.
Right.
Yeah, HasLab.
If the way that Hasbro has handled any of their other releases, I mean, I feel like we're going to get an Awe Striker before we even get a Vamp.
I don't think Awe Striker and Vamp are HasLab releases. I think those are potentially either fan channel, retail. I don't think they're HasLab. And we will, because of the time, we're going to have to save our next bit of conversation for our next live stream. Or actually, we may just do it for the next episode. We'll have to look at our format and see what we're talking about. We may do this for next week's episode. But we'll discuss what is the big iconic vehicle that Hasbro could make. But yeah, I think Dragonfly is great, but I don't know if it's, we got excited about it, but I don't know if it's as likely as we think it is.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick, I just want to mention that my Tiger Force Duke from Pulse got charged today. It is not, I haven't gotten a shipping notice yet, but I have been charged for it. So, and I cannot cancel the one I ordered from Target because I went back and ordered it alongside all of the Tiger Force Python Patrol stuff so I could get a discount on all of it. So if I cancel the Duke, I'll lose the discount. So I'm just going to have to, I guess, return that once I get it. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe we'll do a giveaway. And then finally, we're going to close out with another new segment. I'm going to kick us off on this one. This is named by Mr. Craig Dukas, who hopefully sent me that address so we can send him a little care package. This is Joe and Tell. And I am going to Joe and tell you about the coat I found for my classified Dr. Mindbender. This is not, I guess you guys can see that sort of well enough. So what I've got is
really
a
good.
black, like, almost Matrix. I wish there was a way to get the camera to focus on him better. Let's see here. What if we do, whoop, wrong side of the paper. Sorry, guys. Does that?
Now he's just backlit.
There you go.
Oh, I had it for a second. All right. Joe and Tell may not be as good a concept as I thought it was going to be. That's really not better. Okay. So anyway, what I've got here is I've got a black, like almost Matrix looking trench coat on him. This coat came from a WWE Elite Raquel Rodriguez or Gonzalez. I can't remember which one the figure is because she has had both names figure. And it fits him absolutely perfectly. You can see it's nice, long, shiny leathery looking coat, very sinister. I had to actually cut the sleeves to go over so his gauntlets would still show, because
That's what I was wondering.
As they were, the sleeves actually went over, like, entirely over his gauntlets. So I actually cut them off, but if you can see, I cut him a little bit too short, his elbows sticking out. But fortunately, Ringside Collectibles had a sale on that figure, and it was $3.99 over the holidays. So I ordered 2 more. I'm going to cut one with the sleeves a little bit longer, so it'll just bunch up at the top of the gauntlet rather than exposing the elbow. And then another one I'm going to take and just remove the sleeves entirely, so it's more like the cape that he came with. But this looks amazing. So if you see that Raquel Rodriguez, I think the figure is Raquel Rodriguez. She was Gonzalez in NXT, right?
Yeah, well, I would think it'd be Gonzalez if it's already on $3.99 clearance, but
well, no, it's a relatively new figure. Ringside just had insane sales over the holidays. It's not even because Ringside gets their figures direct from the factory. They have a plane bring them in, so they get them 3 to 4 months before they hit retail. So while this figure has been at Ringside for a while, it's just now starting to show up at retail. But anyway, it looks fantastic. And I think this is my solution. Now I just need to figure out how to get a Cobra Tampo on the back there. So that is my Joe and Tell. Kristian, what have you got for us?
All right. Well, I'm being a little lame and jumping back to the first year of our podcast. And so for all of our new listeners who are out there and haven't dug through the history of my Instagram, I wanted to show off. My custom rat that I did in the Cobra colors. I'm actually using a blue screen tonight, not my green screen. So it's sort of fading in. But yeah, the rat is just a kind of a shell of a vehicle. And we, especially in some of the earlier episodes, making fun of a lot of the neon colors of those later Joe vehicles, and sort of wanted to test, can we make those vehicles look cool? Because there are some really good designs in there. And the answer was, yeah. With a good paint job, a good pleather coat, you can make anything good.
That's right. The shiny coat is necessary. We got a little follow-up here. Bees Battlegrounds, Lenny did mention that they did a ton of mock-ups to figure out scaling and sizing of vehicles way back when the Hiss dropped. I think he references the Thunder Machine being like 16 inches long or so. I remember that now that you mention it. There was some conversation that they had done a lot of development work beyond just the Hiss, just to figure out scaling and stuff. Thank you for reminding us of that. The Photo Viper, one dude was trying to get credit for another dude's work, so the second dude leaked. Oh, that sounds like some contractor business right there. Bees Battleground, so it could be some random guy saw a drawing and ran with it. Matthew Comstock, yo, the Photo Viper. What is up, Photo Viper? Holidays pretty chill, mostly painting. Photo Viper, welcome. Good to have you here. Okay, Noel, what is your Joe and Tell? And as we go on, we'll figure out better ways to display the things that we have for Joe and Tell.
Yes.
Mine actually is a bit of a callback to a past episode of our podcast as well, when we were talking about like what we wanted to be. I think it was when we were talking about what we wanted to be in the, like, either the O-Ring or the Walmart reissue line when we were discussing that.
Okay.
And I mentioned that, like, I would really love to have a water moccasin. And I said a foolish thing about like how the last time they released this vehicle was like 1992 or something like that, because that's what YoJoe.com said. And my mea culpa comes when I went to a show not too long ago, and I did find a Cobra Fang boat still in its box. And I've yet to open it. This was at the Conyers Toy and Comic Show here in Metro Atlanta back in early December. I picked this up. I got it for a very reasonable price, a song almost, if you will. And I'm going to open it for the first time and just make sure that I didn't get ripped off, because
there's a Jabba the Hutt in there.
Appears to be still in its sealed baggies and everything.
That's
So,
one of those vehicles because
awesome.
I was actively collecting when that stuff was coming out, and it's one of those vehicles that I'm kicking myself for not getting.
It's got my Swamp Viper in here. So this color scheme on this vehicle is very cool. It's got the darker blue, so it's kind of like the almost like the Hiss 3 color scheme from
Oh, it's
around.
almost like the Thunder Machine.
Yeah. So I was very excited about getting a chance to put this thing together for the
So, have
first
you
time.
had a modern water moccasin in hand at any point?
No.
The
I know it's
detailing
different.
is you're going to be very impressed with it. And I did not realize until I got my vintage water moccasin last year, I didn't realize just how updated the modern one was. But it's significantly different.
Because I didn't realize there was that much of a difference either. I compared a couple of them that someone had at a booth at some show that I was at in the last couple of years. I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of retooling on them.
Yeah. I did not realize.
So yeah, it looks like this was a good value for the value that I paid for it, because it appears to all be here and intact and still in its sealed baggies and everything. The tape was broken in the box, so I was like, well, I'll take it, and I'll take my chances at the price that I paid for it.
I am requiring a video of you in the bathtub playing with the Fang boat. We're going to put it up on Instagram.
All right, it's a good thing I don't own a bathtub.
Well, then
Or
the
do
sink.
I?
Put it in the sink.
I do. Yes, I do have a utility sink. Maybe I'll film a video of
film
me
the utility
in
sink
my utility sink
and
my
zoom that
room.
thing around, and we'll put it up on Instagram. All right, you guys. Well, that is all we've got for you this week. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with another live stream. Next week, we'll have our regular audio episode. And this Friday, this episode will be available as audio content as part of our regular podcast, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts. Thank you so much, everybody that did the super chat. You guys are absolutely incredible. Everybody who is here hanging out, giving us suggestions, everybody on Instagram, Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram is the best way to get in touch with us. If you got stuff you want to hear about, look for the sound off post, shoot us a message any time of day or night. We love interacting with you guys. Send us the posts that you want, the signal boosted on, whatever. We are here as G.I. Joe fans to talk to G.I. Joe fans and G.I. Joe adjacent fans, as you can see. Our music is by Andy Samford of electricminnowmusic.com. Follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast and on Twitter at G.I. Joe Audible. Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe and Cobra and other G.I. Joe affiliated lines costuming club. And of course, we raise money for a great charity called Canines for Warriors. So if you're ever at one of the shows we're at, throw a few bucks our way. Maybe you can check out the Finest Recruitment Center for thoughts about how to dress up like one of your favorite characters and maybe join the Finest.
If you need to know, like I do, how to make a Super Trooper costume, the Finest can help you out.
Yes, they can.
Kristian, tell us where we can find that toy photography you do so well.
You can find me on flickr.com and Instagram under the name Legion Cub.
You guys, thank you so much for sitting down and talking about G.I. Joe. Thank you, everybody who tuned in and watched with us and contributed to the conversation and to the wallets. You guys are nuts. Like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, yo, Joe.
Go.